This episode of the Great Hip Hop Debate is sponsored by
the Maryland, D.C. Minority Supplier Development Council, providing minority entrepreneurs and corporate representatives varied opportunities to build productive relationships for more than 30 years. For more information,
Eminem has been mentioned in the source and by himself as the Elvis of hip-hop. Just like Elvis is credited with being the king of rock and roll, it seems that much of the media gives Eminem similar props. While Eminem seems to shy away from much of the media attention, some people in the hip-hop community feel that Eminem will be the only person mentioned in the history books when they talk about hip-hop. So, and I pose this question to Craig, do you think Eminem will be considered, when it's all said and done, the Elvis of hip-hop?
Of course, because the media, who, let's be honest, is mostly white, is looking for the savior within, the black art to be the superstar. It was the same thing, look at basketball. Steve Nash won the MVP last year, but they were looking for the star. They're like, oh, a white guy who has some skill who could play with the black guys. Let's go right here.
Steve Nash was balling.
Don't say that.
Go ahead, Ollie.
I'm going to say that he's not going to be the Elvis of hip hop at all. Look what Elvis did back in the day. He might have taken people's music and made it his own, but he is doing so many controversial things, shaking his hips, getting banned from TV, going into movies. Eminem's just another rapper who happens to be white.
Okay.
I'm also going to disagree with Craig. For some of the same reasons as Ari, but mainly the main basis of my disagreement is that there is not going to be any history book. Media has gotten to the point now where it's so fractured, and there's so many different sources of information that there is no unified history. And because of that, there's not going to be. There's not going to be one person that's remembered. There's going to be several 100,000 downloads sitting on a mainframe somewhere.
Okay, yeah, because you know what? We in hip hop, we are controlling our history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that Eminem is going to be the Elvis of hip hop. Elvis essentially erased the history of rock and roll before that point. But at this point, there's too many great, unbelievable MCs and people like us who are willing to keep bringing it up and showing people that great MCs existed before Eminem ever showed up on the scene. Mm-hmm. So I think as long as we exist, showing people that, hey, there was a past before Eminem, I think it won't be long.
And they were televised long before Eminem came along, whereas Elvis was really the first one of the first people to get that sort of wide television coverage. Mm-hmm. There's the media precedent is there.
I think this title takes away from the fact that overlook the fact that Eminem is one of the top MCs. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially nowadays, like he's spitting some realness, and you can't take that away. And I think this title takes away some of his punch and drive, and it takes away the fact that he was actually quality MC. Moving on. It seems to be an accepted fact in the industry that almost 70% of hip-hop records are purchased by white guys in the suburbs. Sorry, Ari and David, I don't know if you live in the suburbs, but anyway. However, Bakari Titwana suggests in his book, Why White Kids Love Hip-Hop, that it's more of a 50-50 split and that white kids don't have all the buying power that most industry insiders assume. Ari, do you agree with Kitwana's assertion?
I don't know. I think it's a tough question right now with the new age of music. When you look at iTunes, downloading music online, I think it's really spread. I'm going to say, I'm looking at the way my friends are broken down. It's so close. There might be a little more white guys buying it, but it's too hard. We're not measuring downloads these days. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
As to whether who buys more, I don't really necessarily know that makes that much of a difference. So much as how it affects the music that is produced, how the perception that white kids in the suburbs are buying the most hip hop music, and I think that if that is affecting who's making what music, then I think that's a more important issue to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely it's assumed fact. It's not something that's been statistically studied and actually proven by true facts.
Yeah, I definitely think the 50-50 measure is definitely more up to date, more informed look at who's buying hip hop. 70%. When was that figure even
Like early 90s.
Man, early 90s was honestly a different period in time than it is today.
MC Hammer time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So 50-50 is definitely a much more agreeable figure for me.
Okay. I like that.
I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with that fact because simply put, white people outnumber black people still 5-1.
Yeah.
So just by sheer numbers alone, unless no black guy's buying an album or something, unless no white guy's buying an album, odds are high. If everybody thinks an album is hot, there's gonna be more white people buying it. Just by sheer numbers.
So you're saying like if 1 in 5 white people buys a record, then just to keep up, every single black person in the country would have to buy the record just to keep it 50-50.
Okay. I mean, according to statistical analysis, that might be true. I mean, Kitswana, I think, has a very good argument. I mean, we probably won't know until they do real statistical analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, coming up on the Great Hip Hop Debate, do white rappers have full legitimacy in the hip hop industry? We'll discuss this thoroughly when the debate returns.